So in this tutorial, we are going to look at how we can implement a Laravel authentication using Ajax. And the version of Laravel that we are going to work with in this tutorial is Laravel version 8. Okay, so I've installed the latest Laravel version and I've opened the code here. This is a new Laravel installation, but I've just done a few changes. So for example, I've done customizations on the home page here, and this home page has two bootstrap models. And the first one is the login model and register model. So login model and register model. And this is how the home page now looks like. Now if I click here, you can see we have this nice login model, and I can click on create account, and now we have the register model. So these are the ones that you are going to use when registering the user and then when logging in the user. Alright, so that is the welcome page, and apart from that I've added another page. If we do /home, we get this page here, and this is the page that you are going to redirect the users after successful login. Okay, so basically that is it, because the most important thing here is to demonstrate how to do it. Okay, and I believe that if you are watching this tutorial, you are familiar with setting up all this, setting up new Laravel project, connecting that project to the database, migrating, doing the migrations, and then all setting these pages and changing them. I know that you are familiar with that if you are watching this tutorial. Now in this tutorial, we're just going to focus on Laravel authentication using Ajax. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, and I think another important thing to mention is that I've connected my application to the database. This database, I've called it Ajax Auth, and I've already migrated the tables. You can see we have this users table, which is empty as at now. We have the ID, name, email verified, password, remember, token, and then created that and updated art. Right, so that is enough of introduction. Let's now create two controllers. So we want to create the register controller that will be responsible for registering the users functionality, and the login controller that will be responsible for logging in the users. So we'll go to the terminal and run php artisan make controller. We'll start with register controller. Alright, and after that run the same command, but then change this to login controller. Okay, we have done now. And now if we search login controller, you can see it is empty there. There's no any code there. And you can also search register controller. Register controller, and you see we don't have any code there. But then we need routes, two routes. The first route is where we are going to send data for registering the user. So we will go to the web.php here, and we'll create a route. So I'm just going to copy that code and paste below, but we are going to modify. We are going to change this to post. Right, and then this one you can just change it to register. The path is that route is going to be register, and you are going to, this will be handled by this register controller. So just do register controller class, and the method that is going to handle that is going to be called register. Okay, we are going to write that method. And remember that you have to import that controller up here. So you have to go here and do use app http, and then controllers, and then you paste that controller there. Right, and the same way you have to do for the login controller. We change this to login. Right, and then we also have to create the login route. So this is the register route, and you have to create the login route. So change this to login, and then here I'll change that to login also. And I think let me just name this route. The first one I'll give it the name of register, and the second one I'll give it the name of login. Right, login. So that's great. And we'll go to the controller, to these controllers, and create these two methods. So the first one is the register controller. So I'll just go to the register controller and create a new method. So public function register. And remember, this takes in request. So you have to pass their request as request. So you pass their request as request. Right. And then what you want to do when the request comes to this, as at now, when the request comes to this method, what you want to do is just to return a response. We just want to return back that response. So response JSON, and we just want to pass everything that comes through the request, like that. All right. We save that, and you are going to copy the same and go to register controller and paste that method, but change this to login. So you also want just to return everything that comes through the request. Yeah. Alright, so we are good with that. We can now go back to the welcome.blade.php where you have our forms. And in these forms, first you want to focus on the register form. So in this register form, we have various input fields. The first one is for name. The second one is for email. And then you have the password, then confirm password. So the password and the confirm password, we are just going to handle it right here from this file. Now, also remember, always remember this at CSRF token. It has to be sent through the request. Otherwise, you are going to get an error. So this form, the first thing you have to give it is an ID. We get an ID of register. All right. And since we have the ID, we can get that form using jQuery. We are going to write the query here. So this is the predefined method. This method here is for opening the model, right? So we are going to write our methods here. We are going to add our code here. So the first thing, you have to get the submit event. So this is the form that you are dealing with. And when it is submitted, when that button is clicked, we just want to get what the user entered in the name field, the email field, and the password field, and the password confirmation field. All right, and you can see all these fields, they have IDs here. You see that? So let's do it. Here we'll just first get that form, and we'll just do we just get an element with an ID of register form. Remember, that is the ID we gave the form. And then we watch on submit event. So dot submit, and then we run this function. Right. So when that form is submitted, this is the function that we are going to run. And remember, you have to pass their event, right? And we don't want that form to submit. So let me just save it and show you what I mean. Now, if we go to the form and refresh, and we go to register and we submit, you can see it submits. That is not what we want. We want to stop it from submitting. So here we just do event e.prevent default, and that will now prevent it from submitting. So now if we save that and go back and click on that and click here, you can see if we click here, I don't know, it is still submitting. Let's look at it well. Function, so register form.submit function, you get the event, then you have e.prevent default. Oh, this one should be capital, prevent default. So that should be, that is how it should be. And now if we refresh, it should here if we try to submit, you see now nothing is happening, and that is what you want. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, after preventing it from submitting, what you want to get is all these field values, what the user entered in this field. So you have the first one is the name, and then email, password, and they have the corresponding IDs. So you can get those, you can use those IDs to get the details that the user entered there. So here we just do this. First to get the name. Okay, so just do var name is equals to we get an element with an ID of name, and then you get the value. So use .val. So remember, you can use .val in view to get, and not view in jQuery to get the value of that element. So that is the name, email, and then password, then confirm password. So here is name, we change that to email, and this one we change it to password, and this one we change it to, I think it is password underscore confirmation, okay, something of the sort. So let's look at it so that we just be sure it is password underscore confirmation. Password underscore confirmation. So let's just paste this here to avoid any confusion there. And that is it. So for this, I think it is very simple. We want to do this here for the password error. For the password error, we want to do this. We want to make these fields required. So that is for HTML, just make them required so that somebody cannot submit without filling the detail there. So just add they are required, and we copy, we paste in each of the fields, required, and finally this one is required. Alright, so that one will do HTML validation, but then you want it to work in a way that if the password submitted that is not equals to this, we throw an error. So here we are going to add span field there, and we are going to give it a class of bootstrap class of just error, and then text danger. So the text is going to be read. Now here this is where we are now going to put our message if these fields do not match. So what we want to do is just give it error, this error. Here you can just give it ID equals to not match. Okay, you can just give it an ID of not match. So if the password and the confirmed password does not match, you just want to throw an error there, you just want to write an error there. So what we are going to do is just if password, okay, so if password is not equals to this one, password confirmation. Now what you want to do is just to get that element with an ID of not match, and then dot text. So you just want to add text there, and that text should be password and confirmed password. Okay, let's just do passwords do not match, just that. Yeah, and now let's refresh and try again. So let's do that, and let's do another and create. Okay, you have to do their name and email and try to submit, and you see passwords do not match. Right, error, real-time error, passwords do not match. So that's what you want. Okay. Okay, so we have handled that when the password do not match, but then that is not all you want to do. You have to proceed. Now, since you have all these fields, what you want to do is to now send Ajax request to the register URL, right? So we'll do this .ajax, then you have to pass their object, and the first one is type. That is the type of the first one is the URL, right? And that URL will just echo the route name, so it is the route. And you remember we created that route, the name was register. Okay, so this is the register route, that is where we want to send the data. And then you have type. The type of the request you are sending is post, so that one is post. And then you have data, and this is the data that you are sending there. So data, you just want to create an object, and we pass there the name, email, and password there. So it is just name, email, and password. And by the way, we need other thing. Remember, we said CSRF token is very important. We have to get the CSRF token. So we are just going to copy this and then paste below and call this token. And how do you get that token? So this is how we do it. So here we do input. So we are just going to get the input with the name equals to underscore token, right? Just this dot val. That is what we need to get the value of the token there. So you may be wondering where we are getting this input. Okay, now as you can see here, we are echoing CSRF token value, and this is just an input value with the input name of underscore token here, and that is basically what we are accessing. All right, so after that we'll have to pass here token. So that is the CSRF token, and I think it is even better to start with that token. You can just start with that token here. So it prevents cross-site forgery attacks, the CSRF token. I hope you understand that. Now after this, what you want to do is we need another method, the final method, which is success. So success is when the request went through successfully. So we can just write a function, and then we get the response. Of course, we are going to get the response. So what you want to do is to just console.log res.data. We can just console the response and see, but I can tell you that we are just going to get back these fields that we sent to the server, because remember here we are just going to get, here we are just getting the response, the request, and then we are returning the request, all the fields that comes through the request. So that means that here we should get just the value of these fields. So let's try it. So we'll go here and refresh, and then after that we'll just click on register and enter the name, the email, the password, and just 1 2 3 4 5. I just use that as password, 1 2 3 4 5, and then click on create account. And I'll just open the console. I don't know why it's submitted. I don't know why it is submitting. You have to check something here. So I don't know why when we click on this it is still submitting. So for example, if we enter the name and then the email and then the password and we click, it is submitting. It should not be doing that. So let's just go back to the form and we are going to look up for the error. Okay, first let's do something here. So here we need to have the token. So the first thing we'll change here is the token. Just do underscore token. We are going to send it as this underscore token and is equals to the token that we get up here. And then we have the name. Right, so here give it the name and then the value is going to be the name we get above there, up there, and then email same, and finally the password. Yeah, just that. So maybe this was the problem. Let's try again. So we refresh and try to register. Still the same error. We are getting the error here, unexpected identifier here. Okay, let's look at our code closely. So this is an object. So we have the URL, we have here type, data. Okay, we get the error. So you can see here, we need to do that, right? It is an object, so we need to do that. So let's save that and let's try it again. So we just refresh, click on create an account and try to enter the name, the email, the password, and then the password 12345 and try to click on create, and there you go, it works. So you can see we are getting back the response, we are getting back the response, and the email is null, the password is null, but the name we have it, and the token you have it. So why is the reason why email and password are null? So we have had an error where when we enter details here like name, email, and then the password, then repeat password. When we try to create here, we don't get email and password. So I had to stop the video to look for that error, and it's very a simple error. And the reason is that you can see you have two forms here. So this is the first form, and you also have the login form all on the same page. So, and all these forms, you have this one as an ID of email, this one an ID of password, and same to this. And remember that in HTML you should not be having two identical IDs. So you have to change this. First email you have to change, and also the password ID and the name. So what I do, since this is the register, I just change this here from email to R, or I can alternatively I can just go here and change it to L. So L email, and then you have the L password. So that means login email and login password for this login form there. And I think if after doing that, this one should now work. So if we just refresh here and click here, name, email, and then let's try password 12345 12345 and click, and now we have the email and the password. That's great. Now we can continue. So we are now getting the response, but now what you want to do is you want to do various checks. Okay, you can do this. We can also submit this. We also need this password confirmation. So just copy this here and we'll just give it a field of pass confirm, and we'll just give it equals to password confirmation there. All right. So we are going to go to the backend and write some code to validate this, to know if the user entered the password match or not. So we'll just go back to the login controller, register controller here, and now we do the checks. So the first thing here is if request and then password is not equals to request and then confirm, request and then confirm pass. I think that's what we named it. Let's confirm that. Okay, pass confirm. Let's just copy this. So that means that the passwords do not match, and we just want to return an error. So return response and then JSON, and we are going to do this. Just do error. We pass their error. We send an error, and that error should be passwords do not match, right? So that's the first validation we are doing. So the passwords have to match. So here, when we get that error, from here, what you want to do, we'll just do this: if res.error. So that's how we get the error. What you want to do is to get this field here. We had set this field to show the error when the passwords do not match, and it's called not match. So we'll just do this. I'll get that field. It's called not match, and basically what you want to do, we want to put that text saying that, okay, the text should be res.error. Right, so we are just getting that text from the backend, and then what you want to do is to write there. So let's just refresh and try again. So Simon password 1234 1234 and try create. So we are not getting anything. Okay, because passwords match. So let's just try this 12345 and try, and you can see right there we have error, passwords do not match. All right, so that's great. Now if we do 12345, passwords do not match. If we change 12345, now they match. The error should not be there. Okay, so if we refresh, yeah, that is it. So the first check, you've done it. That is the first error, and if that passes, you can look for another error. If any of them is empty, if any of these fields is empty, what you want to do is to pass there an error. So if request, if empty request dot so if request dot password is equals to empty, you can just do that. Okay, so let's do this. However, you may write that. You can just do if. Okay, you have there if empty. And what are we checking? The first one is request password, and we need email. We also need what? Name. Yeah. So this one you can just change to name, and this one is email. And if any of them is empty, so what you want to do is to send back the error, and that error should say no field should be empty. Right? So let's just save that and we'll try it again. Okay, let's also add here confirm pass. It is pass confirm. Right, so after saving that, what you want to do is to go back here and what you want to do, let's just go to the code, front-end code here, and we'll do some change. We'll remove this required because it will prevent that. So just remove required here from all the fields. Now we are validating it from the backend. So let's just save that and try again. So refresh and click here and we try to submit, and you see no field should be empty. Right, you can't submit, no field should be empty. So that's great. Now we have, let's try to like enter the name, try to submit, no field should be empty. Email, so you can't submit when any field is empty. So let's try that, and you see now the passwords do not match. So that is real-time validation, and that's great. Right, so after that has been taken care of, this is very simple now. It's just to create account. Okay, we just now want to create the account. So we'll do this. We'll just go here, and then now we want to save those details to the database. So we'll just do here, we'll do this. We have to use the user model here, so use app models and then user. Right, now you have the user there, we can create, and also you need to use hash, and we will use that. So this is what you want to do. We'll just do user is equals to new user, and then you have user name equals to request name, and you can just copy this and paste down, and then user email is equals to email here, and then the password will do something. So user password. Now remember the password, you have to hash this password. So just cut that and do hash make. So this is the hashing. This one will hash the password, hash.make, and then you pass there the password. But make sure you do that, so that you do the password there. And then after that, you'll just save the user. So you do user save. Right, that is it. So that is all. And then after saving the user, what you want to do is to return back. So JSON response, return response.json. So let's just do this. We'll use an if statement, if user save. That is when we'll now return this. So we return response JSON, and then here we pass there, and then you have the success. Now we pass their success. When it failed, we pass their error, but then here in this case we are passing their success, and that success message should decide user registered successfully. Alright, that's great. So let's save that, and we have to do something here again. So that is if we have error, but then if we have success, if res.success, So if you register the user successfully, what you want to do is to need to have a success. Let's just go here and we'll copy this span and put it here. Just put it there and I'll just give it an ID of registered, and then this one should be alert, and then alert success, alert success. So we just going to get this. If these are registered successfully, what you want to get is that ID. So the element with the ID of registered that you just created now, and what you want to do is to put there the text, the success text. So you do text.success, and then after that we right away call this function that opens the login model. So just copy this, and then if that has been successful, we just call we open the login model so that the user can now log in. So let's save that and try it right away. So we refresh and click on create account. So we will fix that. So Simon, email, and then password. Again password. Then we click on create account, and you see it flashed the message and then opened the login model. So let's just go to here and we'll just try to look at the user table. We'll just refresh and see if the data was saved to the database, and there you go. You can see we registered a new user, Simon, email verified at null, and then you have the password, and you can see the password is hashed. All right. So that is register, and that is basically it. Right. Now what you want to do here, we don't want to show this first, so we just want to add a class of dnone. So dnone doesn't display it at first, but then here if it is success, the first thing we do here is to remove that class. So just remove class. So just get this registered, and then you have a jQuery method called remove class, and the name of the class is dnone. Right. So let's try again. So if we refresh here now, we should not see what we were looking here. I don't know why we are seeing it again. Why? Okay, let's try to place it there. Okay, I don't know we can just remove these classes, but then basically, you need to hide this. You just need to hide that one. Just know that, because here we are concerned with the registration, not styling or any other thing. All right, that is just the message that you have to display there. Okay, so it's working, and we can register another user. So let's just remove alert and change it to text success. So text success, they remove this one also and save it. And then after that, we'll come here to the code and we remove this. We don't need it anymore. And after that, we'll try to register another user. So let's refresh. Click on this, and now we can register another user. We are just registering random users. And you saw the message registered successfully, and then it opened this. So that's great. We registered another user, and we can refresh, and you see we have the second user. So that's great. Now registration is working great. Now let's work on login. Okay, so the login, we are also going to do the same thing. We are going to the login form. So we go to the login form, and we just want to remove this. Okay, let's just remove that method, and this button will give it type of submit. Okay, and now we have L password and then L email. That's what we need. Just need email and password. Okay, so that is basically it. So this is what we are going to do. We need error. In case we have any, we just need this. We need an error. You can close a tab here, and you just call it error. You can just call it login error. So in case you encounter error logging in, you are going to show that error here. Alright, so the first thing is to get this fields, email and then password on submit. So you have to give this name, this form a name. Not name but ID. So let's just remove all this and give this form an ID of login form. And now we can get it. Right, so let's write our code so fast because we don't have time. Okay, here now you can write login functionality. So the first thing you need is to get when that form is submitted. So the form has an ID of login form. So when it is submitted, you do .submit, and we have that event. Okay, now it is function first, and then you pass there the event, and what you want to do is to prevent default. Alright, and then after that you'll get the fields. So the first thing is var email is equals to so remember we renamed it to L email, so L email and then .var, right? And then you have to do the same for the password. I have to do the same for the password. Going to be password is equals to L password.var. So now that you have the email and password, we're just going to send that request to the login route. Okay, so just start Ajax. So .ajax, and remember what we passed there. The first one is URL, and we said that the URL is going to be the login route. So it's the route and then login. And then another item is type. The type of request you are sending is post. And this is going to be followed by data. Right, so data is going to be an object, and this that object is going to have email, and then password like that. But you have to do, we need also the token, and remember how we were getting the token. So our token is equals to, so the token is equals to here, input name equals to underscore token. All right, so here you also have to pass the token, so it's going to be underscore token. So underscore token is equals to token. But then if you remember very well, you have to go to the login form where it starts and do at CSRF. So you have to pass the CSRF token so that you can get it here. Alright, so that's great. That is so great. Now after that, we need this data here. We need to do that, and then you need to do the success function. So we get the response, and if we have error, so just do if res.error. What you want to do is to get that error, the item with an error, that error I don't know how we called it, but we can check. It is called login error. So I want to get that element with the ID of login error dot text, and just want to print there the error. So it's going to be res dot error, just that. But if it is success, res.success, we'll know that the user logged in with the correct credentials, and what you want to do is to redirect to the home page, or to a welcome to home page, the URL that we just created. So it is going to be window.href. Okay, so just doing redirection is equals to home, like that. I think that is how we redirect in window.href, if I'm not wrong. So let me just search redirecting in JavaScript. Window.location.href. Yeah, this window.location.href. So window.location.href is equals to home. So if login successful, just want to take the user to the home page. So that's great. Now we've written the backend, the front end, and now we need to write the login here, right? So when we receive the request, the first thing we have to do is to validate it. So we just do if empty, that is request and email, and so if the email is empty or the password is empty, what we want to do is to send error to the front end. It will be return response JSON, and then error, and that error is going to be email or password must not be empty, right? Email or password must not be empty. Okay, so let's just go back to the form and see if we are right. So just refresh and try to submit, and you get an error there. Okay, I don't know what that error is, but then you can look at laravel.log file. So method login does not exist. Okay, let's go here and check. Login, public function login. This is the login controller. Let's check web here. Oh, this one we should change it to login. Yeah. And now let's refresh and try again, and you see email or password must not be empty. So that's great. You're getting real-time validation. So after that, what you want to do is now to log in the user. Okay, so I just want you to search for we want to know if the password is correct, or the password the person's password is the one that is in the database. So what we'll do is just we'll do this. Let me search something. So check if there's something I've forgotten. So check if passwords match Laravel. There is a method, a simple method that we use in Laravel to check if the passwords. Yeah, we have this one here. So you have what you call hash check. So this one is the one that is going to help us. So hash check, we just copy this and we go to the login controller and we do another check. So we do if hash check. So we are going to check if the passwords match. So hash check. So request password. So this is what we are going to do. We just remove this and do request and then password. So check if the password that has been sent through the request matches the password that the user registered with, which in this case should be so this is the password that comes through the request. So we need to get this user first. So we have the email there, right? So if we have the email, you can check, you can get that user. So this is how we do it. So user is equals to user model where email is equals to request and then email. Okay, so that is how we get the user. And then now get the first. Get the first there. Now this brings us to another check. You have to check if that email exists in the database, right? If not this, we know that the email does not exist. So let's just copy this and paste it down. And now we are checking if no email, if we don't have such user. So if not user, we know that the user does not exist. Okay, and we just return response to JSON error, and we can just tell the user is not registered. Okay, so if we don't have that user in our database, but then if we have the user, okay, you have an error here. Oh yeah, so here we are doing the hash check here. So here, since we have the user, we can access that user's password and use this hash check. So if hash check, we have the user. So make sure you do this so that it can make sure you do this backslash here. It's important. okay, because we've not imported this hash here. So this one will do it. So if we just do this one is the password that comes to the request, and this is the password, the user's password. So if they don't match, you know that their credentials are wrong. So you can just do if not. So you can see if not, if this is not true, we know that the passwords do not match, and we'll just return error. And we will not say that the password is wrong. We just say credentials do not match. Just that, right? And save it, because you don't want to tell the user that the password is wrong. They may continue getting the password, but if we say credentials do not match, they'll not know this one is wrong. They'll not know if the email or the password is wrong. Alright, so after that, we can just come here and refresh and try again. So I'll enter the email I registered. Just enter the email that does not exist and try the password and see. And we have an error. Okay, let's look at that error. User is not found. Okay, let's clear this file and go back to login and import the user here. So just do use app models and then user. So you have to import the user there. And we'll go back and try again. So wrong email and password, and see, and you see user not registered because this email is not in the database, right? And then let's try the email. Let's try the email that I registered and the wrong password, and you see, oops, credentials do not match because the password is wrong. All right. Okay, so that's how we validate using the query. But then what if we have done all these validations, what you want to do, if this goes through, now here what you want to do is to log in the user. So this is what you're going to do. So if we search what we call auth attempt Laravel, okay, I don't know. And just the auth attempt Laravel here. And so you can see here, this is the Laravel's documentation, and you have the credentials like request, email and password, right? So you're just getting email and password. So just do auth attempt, and then if it passes, the user will be logged in. Okay, so that's very simple. So just do if this passes, you just do if auth attempt. So auth attempts like just trying to log in the user. So you have this, I think they are using it well. So request and only this, this. So we're just using the request email and password alone. So request, just pass it here. So you have here request, and then you're using only email and password here. All right. So let's just do this. So If this goes through, we'll have logged in the user successfully. Otherwise, there is a problem and we can send back the error. So here we just do, if that is successful, we just want to redirect the user to the home page. So return redirect, return redirect to the home page, right? Because the login is successful. Otherwise, what you want to do, you just want to return an error. So let's just copy this. So just want to return error and a message that will just say something just send something went wrong, just that. Alright, and that is it. Okay, and that is it. Okay, now we don't want to redirect. We said that this one is the work of the front end, so we will not do that. Just copy this, paste here. We are not going to redirect with Laravel. We are going to just enter here success. Okay, and the message will be login successful, and we save that. So we go to the front end, and if rest.access, we just return the user to the home page. So let's just try to log in with our credentials. We'll go to register, refresh, and try to log in with our credentials now, the right credentials. Credentials do not match. Still credentials do not match. Now guys, we are trying to log in with the right credentials, but it is failing. Okay, the auth check here, hash check, it says that the passwords do not match, and that is very right. And the reason is here. When we were registering here, I copied this, and so hash make this one the user password. We are saving as username instead of saving as a hashed user password of the password that comes through the request, and that is where we have the error. So you have to change this to password. Okay. Now after changing to the password, we are going to register another user. So we'll just basically delete one user here. We can just delete this Simon. I'll go back to users. Okay, and then now let's try to register that user and try to log in again. So we'll go to create account, and then the password. And again the password, and create account, and you try to log in again with that account. Now this should work. And there you go, login successful. And now we are redirected to this page, to the home page. And now there, for us to prove that it is successful, we should now try to find. So you are logged in. We can just do as, and then here I just want to echo auth. So authenticated user, so auth user, and then we try to get the name of that user. So if the login was successful, we should now get we have now the auth object. We can get the user details. We now have the user session started. So let's just try to save that and try to refresh again and see if this will say you are logged in as Simon. And there you go. So login successful. So that is the authentication Laravel 8 Ajax. So thank you so much. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, may you consider subscribing to my channel for more tutorials like this.